Hi you guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I'm kind of nervous. I already did this, by the way. I recorded this a few days ago, but I had to pull out my super old, super clunky laptop to get pictures for the story because I was like, oh, I know I have them somewhere. So I got the pictures and you're gonna see them. Okay, so this story is about when I moved to Grand Turk in 2006. So in case you don't know, Grand Turk is a very small island off of the Turks and Caicos. It's very close to the Dominican Republic. It's also close next to an island called Providenciales. Yeah, so it was a very, very small island. It was 7 miles long by 1 mile wide, extremely small. The reason why we moved to Grand Turk is because that's where my mom's ex-husband was born. And I guess he just decided one year that he wanted to move back to his own country or island or whatever. So that's what we did. I did not want to go. I asked my mom if I could stay. You know, I was going to be turning 18 in like 6 months because it was getting close to prom. So, you know, it was like June. I did not go to prom. By the way, we actually left the day before prom. That was tragic. Anyway, not tragic, just sad. Anyway, hold on. Okay, so I had to do the walk of shame around my school and get signatures from all of my teachers to drop out, and it was the worst day ever. Some of my teachers cared, some of my teachers didn't, but it was really just a very sad day because I didn't want to drop out, you know. I was forced to by my mom. So cut to, we are in Florida because we actually stayed in Florida for about a month before we moved to the island because her ex-husband was, I guess, preparing a home and everything for us, and it's really small, so you know, you kind of have to go there in person to make sure that it's going to be livable for an American family. Like, we're hella American, so you know. So we're in Florida for about a month. I ended up getting my hair cut at this Dominican salon. I'm gonna put the picture up, but I was definitely feeling myself. Okay, so we're just gonna get straight to Grand Turk. So for the first 3 days in Grand Turk, I just cried. I cried and I cried and I cried and I couldn't stop crying for 3 days. It was so hot. It was so humid. That's not why I was crying. It was just it was a huge culture shock. I mean, you see people live like that on TV, but actually going there and living like that is crazy. There would be like wild horses. There was one morning I woke up because we lived right next to a bar. I mean, we shared a yard with a bar. So all night long, like, it was so loud. You would hear drunk people fighting, throwing bottles. There was one morning I woke up and I went to open my curtains and I got the biggest jump scare because there was a huge bull grazing right outside my window. Like, all I saw was a gigantic eyeball and the horns, and I was like, oh my god, that was, and I saw the biggest crab too. Okay, I'm getting off topic, sorry. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so it was a huge culture shock living in Grand Turk. And it was just kind of all forced upon me. I didn't have a choice. I was still legally, you know, a child, and I had to go with her. So, okay, so I worked at on the cruise center on the island. There were cruises that came to the island every single day, sometimes a few. And so what we did was, well, I worked at a t-shirt store named Del Sol, and it was like t-shirts that changed color in the sun. It was stupid. They were overpriced t-shirts. Anyway, so a bunch of people would get off of the cruise ships every morning, and it'd be like 7:30 in the morning, and people would be just piss drunk, just so drunk with those 3-foot tall, you know, drinks and everything. Anyway, I have more stories about Grand Turk if you want to hear them, but I don't want to get off topic. Anyway, so my first boss at that job, his name was Marshall, and he was like 30 or 31. He was really, really nice. He actually used to work for the cruise ships, but he was just a really nice guy. He wasn't sleazy or creepy or anything towards me. He was just really nice. My mom and my mom's ex-husband worked at the jewelry store right next to mine, directly next to my store. And they had a bunch of like jewelers that worked there. A lot of them were pretty sleazy. They were from different countries. I don't know what sort of a jewelry company that was, but some of them were from Germany. This one guy was from South Africa. There was just, I mean, when you live in another country, people are from everywhere, so, you know. But anyway, so two of those guys that worked at my mom's store were kind of sleazy with me. The South African guy would be drunk constantly. He would leave work and walk across the cruise center. Hold on a second, my daughter's being crazy. Hold on. Okay, right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, the South African guy, yes, he would walk over to the Margaritaville on the cruise center, get drunk at like, 10:30 in the morning, and then come back to work piss drunk and try and sell jewelry. They had to send him home more than once. I remember it. It was very weird. So he was always like kind of pervy. There was one day, I don't remember why, but we all carpooled to work. And as we were getting off of the van, so my mom is standing right here, right on my side. She's like maybe a couple of steps ahead of me. And then, what the fuck was his name? Anyway, he walks up behind me and he reaches out his hand as if he's gonna grab my behind. And he like made a squeezing gesture or whatever, and he said something lewd. And I looked over at my mom to see if she was going to say or do anything. She didn't. She didn't say anything. She might have smirked even. But I had to tell him myself. I was like, don't touch me, do not touch me. Anyway, so that was like, sorry if I keep looking around. It just helps me like remember. I don't know. So anyway, and then there was a time that the other coworker of my mom's, I think his name was Michael or something. Anyway, I'm 17. I'm going to just reference that really quick. And he was 27. So he worked with my mom. And I guess at some point he must have like asked my mom if it was okay for him to take me out. And I guess she just agreed. And she goes, "Oh, you're going to go to Michael's house later." And I was like, okay. And so he like comes up being all sleazy and stuff, and he invites me over. I was like, okay. And so I go because I'm a naive 17-year-old thinking that we're just going to hang out or maybe watch movies or whatever. And the second I get there, he immediately puts a drink in my hand and sits me down on the couch. And there's not even a TV in sight, so I was like, okay, so what is this gonna be, So we're just talking for a second, and he's getting closer and closer to me, and I'm like, you need to chill. And he tried to kiss me, and, he tried to kiss me. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was just like, I'm not gonna have smecks with you. I didn't come here for that. I told him straight up, I told him straight up, and he did the male sulking thing. He literally went like this. Something like that. He like leaned back and was so dramatic. Like I just like, smacked an ice cream cone out of his hand or something. And he basically just told me to leave, so I left. I was like, okay. Luckily he didn't put anything in my drink because I didn't feel weird or anything. And luckily he didn't try to force himself on me because we were the only two people in that house. There was nobody else in that house. And I can't believe that my mom fucking sent me over there knowing what he probably wanted to do to me. What he could have done to me if he wanted to. and she was just gonna let it happen. I think she wanted to like have a reason to be like, oh, you're just a slut or a whore or something. I don't know. She would say something like that to me had I did it, you know, but no, I have standards, unlike you. Anyway, I went to Grand Turk a virgin and I came home a virgin, okay? Let me just put that right there. I was still a virgin when I went, and I was still a virgin when I came home, okay? Anyway, so I did end up having like a boyfriend on the island. He wasn't my boyfriend, not really. I was 17. I was just a little kid. He was 23, but that's not that bad, you know, whatever. He was a pilot, and we just, I don't know, we just liked each other, and we talked and stuff, and like, you know, we kissed and stuff. Who cares? That's not important. But that's all we ever did. I had never had sex with him either. You know, I just knew that I wasn't ready to yet, so I just didn't, you know. I'm proud to say that no man from my high school can ever say that he, you know, had some sort of a victory with me. I'm very proud to say that. I was a virgin all the way through high school, and I don't mean none of that weird stuff. But anyway, that's off topic too. But, you know, I just feel like my mom was trying to like set me up or something. That's why I felt the need to even mention that, but it was just very strange. Anyway, so the guy that I was dating was 23, and I guess he was also kind of seeing this other woman named Martha. Martha was this Mexican woman. She was like 40, I want to say 43 or 44 at the time. So she was even older than my mom, I want to say. Yeah, she was older than my mom. My mom was about the age that I am right now. My mom was about 37 then. So let's see. So yeah, Martha was also seeing this guy. I didn't know any better. Like I said, he wasn't really my boyfriend. We just kind of liked each other and we flirted around and stuff, whatever. But she basically turned my mom against me, which wasn't hard to do anyway. But she basically like instigated fights between me and my mom. And like basically that woman got me kicked off of Grand Turk. I'm not kidding. My mom hated me so much that she took the side of this complete stranger. And by the way, they're not still friends. They don't talk, like, please. Anyway, my mom pitted this stranger against me. And basically, one day, I just remember her saying, I can't remember if that was on my birthday that she said that to me, but she was basically just like, and almost word for word, this is what she said to me. She said, this island is not big enough for the both of us. You need to leave. You need to go back home. After she put up such a fight for me to come along with them. But I honestly think that that was just her way of like keeping her foot on the back of my neck for as long as she could until she had no more legal custody over me. But yeah, so that woman got me kicked off of Grand Turk, and I paid for my own flight back home. My mom dropped me off at the airport and didn't say a word to me. I pulled my bags out of the car and I closed the door, and she just drove away. And then I went back to Florida and then back home. So, yeah. All right, you guys, I'm back because I realized that I left a big chunk out. It's okay. We've got wine. Hold on a second. Cheers, by the way. Okay, so I already mentioned Raquel right at the end of that last story. So Raquel worked at the cruise, at the store that I worked at. There was also a guy named Al Pacino. I'm not kidding. That was his real name. He actually showed me his ID because I didn't believe him. There was a guy named Jonathan. He was cool. He was drunk all the time too, but he was really, really nice. And he worked hard considering how much he drank. So he drank hard and he worked hard. So good for him, man. Party on. Party on, brother. He used to pass out in the stock room. He used to pass out in the stock room. So I guess I should retract that last statement. But no, he was fun. He was cool. And then there was a lady named Sophie. I want to say she was about 35, but I was 17, so that seemed really old to me at that time. But that's crazy. I really thought she was old. She was only like 35. My mom was 37 at the time. And I forgot to mention that my mom, after I think it was about 3 months or so of working with Marshall as our boss and all of that, my mom swapped roles, and Marshall and her kind of swapped jobs. It was very strange. Now as an adult and thinking about it, that's really weird. But they basically swapped roles. The same man, I forget his name, but he was Turkish. He was really nice too. Owned the company that the stores worked for or whatever. I don't know, man. They swapped jobs. Whatever. That's boring. Who cares? And then my mom became my boss at the store. Okay, let's just leave it there for a second, and then we're gonna go to my birthday. So I turned 18 in Grand Turk in December, and I remember waking up that morning and just getting ready for work, because it was just a typical work day, you know. Just because it was my birthday doesn't mean the world stops. So I was getting ready, I was getting dressed. I remember, you know, just your normal walking around your bedroom trying to figure out what you're gonna wear. I get dressed, I go to my door, and I open it. Do you want to take a guess what was outside my door? My mother! She was standing in front of my door, shaking with anger. Almost like she was already like in mid-argument with somebody. She was like shaking. It was really weird. It was like 7:30 in the morning, and I was about to just walk down the hall to brush my teeth and, you know, pee and stuff, whatever, you know, the usual. And she was standing outside my door, and the only thing, I can't remember word for word what she said, but I do remember a few key points that she made. She did say, you're like the biggest shame on my life or disappointment of my life. I don't remember which one she threw in like that. And then she said, I'm ashamed to have you as my daughter. That's all I can remember. But basically, she kind of then just like stepped to the side while she was still seething and baring her teeth at me. And I just like walked past her to the bathroom, and I went in the bathroom and I closed the door, and I just stared at myself in the mirror like, okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting her to say happy birthday to me, but I also was not expecting that either. That was so fucking weird and unnecessarily disgusting to say to your own child, right? Anyway, the day goes on like normal. We all get in the car to drive to the cruise center. We get there, and my mom is being her normal fake self, being all loud and boisterous and trying to get everybody's attention by being the loudest person in the room, laughing all loud, and just, you know, just being a general, just spectacle. And at one point, I was sitting behind the cash register because there was no customers, and I was just, you know, it's fucking December. But I mean, cruises still happen, so whatever. It was a slow day. That's all I remember. I was sitting behind the register, kind of just hanging out. I didn't have a freaking cell phone or anything. I was just bored off my A, you know, like we used to be back in the day. And Raquel comes up to me, and she's like, Amanda, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? You're just kind of like sitting over here. And before I could even say anything, my mom, she walks up out of the stock room. She goes, "Oh, she's always like that. That's just how she is. She's just always like that." Yeah. What's wrong, Amanda? What's wrong with you? Like a mean girl from a Disney movie. I'm gonna put a picture of her ass too. You'll see. You're gonna see that fake ass smile and shit. Ugh. Sickening. Anyway. Also, Raquel was really nice. And I hope she sees this. Girl, I miss you. If you see this, I will come to Grand Turk right now just to party with you. Love you. Okay, sorry. Oh, and I forgot Fredlin, dude. I forgot about Fredlin. Fredlin was this wonderful girl. Oh gosh, was she was Jamaican or Nigerian? But she used to, I think she had a crush on me now that I think about it, because she used to bring me lunch from home, and it was the best food I've ever eaten in my life. Still till this day, I've never gone to a restaurant or eaten anybody else's home cooking as good as Fredlin's food. One day she made me lobster, but that's kind of normal in like the West Indies. She made me lobster and rice, and I was like, I was trying so hard not to like lick the Tupperware when I was done. It was delicious. And I kept telling her, Fredlin, you don't have to bring me lunch, mommy. Like I can go to Margaritaville and get some food. I can go to the duty-free store across the way. I'm gonna go pick up some rum cake later. It's all good. You know, there was a duty-free store. It was really, really nice. But she just kept bringing me like an extra portion just for me. Not for my mom, not for Raquel, not for Sophie, not for Jonathan, not for Al Pacino, just for me. But I think maybe she also felt bad for me because she probably could see like indirectly how kind of nasty my mom was to me. But anyway, Fredlin is a star. And Fredlin, if you're watching, I'm coming to Grand Turk right now or wherever you live, okay? Sorry, that sounded like a threat. Not like that, not like that. Okay, but thank you for being such a good friend to me, dude. You guys are awesome. I hope somebody from Grand Turk sees this. That'd be so crazy 20 years later to be like, oh, I was good. You know, that'd be fun. Anyway, Fredlin is a star. Raquel is awesome. Sophie was kind of a fucking bitch to me. And she was always on my mom's side. Just saying. She was always a fucking bitch to me. And she called me fat one day because I was eating crackers. And she didn't speak English. So she goes and looks at me and she points at me and she goes, I was like, fuck you, Sophie. I'm not fat. You're fucking fat, bitch. Don't call me fat. But anyway, that was funny. Oh, okay. Oh, and then there was one, because there's another picture. So there was one time where we all had this like company dinner at Bohio. So it was the whole company. So that was including the jewelry store next door and Del Sol. So it was like 20 of us eating dinner at this resort. It was beautiful. Anyway, pardon me. So my mom is sitting directly across from me at this table, and I'm sitting right next to Raquel because she's my girl, you know. And the waiter comes up and he's asking everybody what their drink orders are, and everybody's ordering alcohol, and I'm 17 and in a different country. And I just remember, like, I didn't look at my mom first. I ordered it first. I was like, yeah, I'll take a Presidente. And then Raquel ordered her drink, and then after the waiter moved on from us, I just remember glancing at my mom across the table, and she definitely heard my order, and she was definitely looking right at me. But the thing about my mom is that she can't break her mask in front of people, because then they would really see how she is. So she just let me drink my beer, and then I ordered another one because it was on the company. I don't care. But that was really funny, and like I just remember looking at her like, I know you. I already know. You're not going to say anything. It's okay. I'm going to enjoy this. Cheers. Cheers to you, to the mother of the year. Anyway, that was cool. That was a fun, like, little flip of the, you know, bird. Anyway, I think this story is done now. Gosh, I really do have a lot of fun Grand Turk stories. Oh my God, you know that one song? I see you whining and grinding up in the club. Oh, you know that nasty song, and I wanna you. Yeah, so that song came out when I was in Grand Turk. I saw some things. I saw some things that my eyes were not supposed to see. I'm not gonna say it, but dancing looks more like other things in certain parts of the world. So, yikes, brother. That's crazy. At the restaurant, on top of the table. They weren't actually, but they might as well have been. They might as well have been. Not kidding. Oh, okay, this story just got a lot longer, but you guys, I have so many good Grand Turk stories and so many other good stories. If you have any questions, just let me know. This is kind of fun. This is kind of fucking fun. Like, anyway, thank you for watching. I love you. You're wonderful. Sorry. And I will see you in the next video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Of course. Share it with your mother and your brother and your sister. Bye. Love you.